Alright, what's going on, guys? This is Morey from the Erie Better Beer Bureau. Today we're going to do something a little different. We're going to do a blind tasting. Pat and Dave are outside. I poured us up 3 Sculpin IPAs from Ballast Brewing Company out of San Diego. 7%, one of the top IPAs in the world. They don't know what's in these glasses. I'm going to bring them back in here and we're going to taste them. I know what it is, they don't, and we're going to see what they think of it. Okay, Pat, what are you getting off the aroma?
It's predominantly hoppy, a little bit of a kind of a sweet malt underneath, kind of a caramel, almost a caramel malt underneath.
Would you agree with that? Do you think
Kind of. I'm getting a little floral. I'm getting kind of a grainy smell off of it. Some nice malts. Nothing too heavy or overwhelming though.
Shall we taste it?
Sure. Yeah.
Do you think it kind of follows the nose, or what do you think?
Not a whole lot, a little bit though, but it's bitter. I mean, it's definitely bitter. I'm definitely getting some hops up there, and it has a little more. I want to say it has a little more grainy smell, but a little more hoppy taste to it.
Yeah.
I'd say the flavor is a lot more floral in the taste than it was in the smell.
Yeah, yeah, I'll go with that. Yep.
Pat, if you had to guess the style, what would you say?
Oh, it's an IPA.
Okay.
I would say an IPA, yes.
Yeah, I'm going pale ale, IPA.
Like, I'm not saying it is or it isn't, but if this beer, let's say it's available locally to you, could you picture this being in your regular rotation?
I could, just for the fact that I like IPAs. I wouldn't say this is something I would go crazy buying, but it definitely, I could picture it. I don't, first of all, think it's anything limited release or seasonal. But yeah, I could picture drinking this year round on a fairly regular basis, yeah.
And would you recommend this to like people new to the IPA, double IPA, hoppy beer style, Pat?
I would. It's not really bold. So if people are kind of easing their way into the style, I could see this being a kind of a gateway. Though I do have to point out that people getting into that usually do better with the more citrusy ones than the real floral ones.
Right. Yeah, I would think if it was somebody that I was trying to get into craft beer, it might not be the first beer I throw at them.
Yeah.
Because I think it would be a touch bold. I might go something a little more mellow, and because this does have a little bit of a bite to it.
So Pat, what would your blind rating be for this beer?
I'd probably have to give this one a 3.75 out of 5. It's, it's tasty. There are some decent bold flavors in there. There is some bounce with some of the sweeter malts in it. It's not bad. I'd say it's a bit above average.
Dave?
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I'm thinking 3.75, bordering a 4. I mean, it's actually a pretty decent beer. I'm really liking it. I can picture drinking it fairly regularly, and yeah, I'm liking it. 3.75.
All right, I'm going to give my rating 2, even though I know what it is. I'm still going to throw my rating out there.
Okay.
I'm going to give it a 4. In the past, I'm going to be honest with you, I've rated this beer higher. And I'm surprised that I'm not liking this a little bit better right now. But I'm going to give it a 4. I think, that's my honest opinion of what I'm thinking of this beer right now. Granted, I know what it is, but I'll tell you, I have rated this beer higher in the past. I will also tell you this beer was bottled in January, and they put a 6-month freshness date on it. So at the oldest, we're looking at a month and a couple weeks. So it's still pretty fresh. Do either of you want to take a jab at what the beer is before I lift the box here?
It reminds me a bit of a Smutty Nose IPA.
Okay.
It's a little bit paler, I think, than a Smutty Nose. But between that and really, it reminded me of like kind of like a Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, like a really fresh Sierra Nevada Pale.
Yeah, I disagree on that. I don't think it's anywhere near Sierra Nevada Pale Ale. I think that's a little more piney. I think this is definitely a beer that was made on the East Coast. You know, I'm thinking it reminds me slightly of, you know, I want to say it's like it tastes like a toned down version of Victory Hop Wallop. Personally, I'm getting like kind of a toned down version of that beer. I can't really say. I know it's an IPA, but you know that's kind of what it reminds me of.
Yeah, so. I can see some of those comparisons. I really can. But I'm going to tell you, it's not from the East Coast. It's from the West Coast. And it's one of the top West Coast IPAs there is.
Really?
And here she is. Ballast Point Sculpin IPA.
Wow.
That's a Sculp?
That's a Sculpin.
Let me tell you.
And right here, you can clearly see, enjoy by 6/23/13. So this bad boys, these are good through June 23rd of 13 here.
You know,
so
I'll tell you,
fresh.
I agree with you. I've rated this beer way higher knowing what it is. And I'm glad we did this. It shows that maybe what hype can do to a beer. Because I feel this is a very, very highly touted beer.
Right, and I'm going to tell you that your guys' comments are not affecting really what I think of this. Because when I poured this, when you guys were not up here, I'll confess, I smelled it. And I was underwhelmed by the aroma. Yeah. It's not what I remember from this beer. I'm going to even have to say, to me, it seems like, I hate to be one of those guys, but to me, this isn't the Sculpin I remember. And these are pretty fresh. So I don't know if it's batch variation. I don't know what, but yeah, no, I agree with you. I'm a little underwhelmed by it at a 4. I've gone like 4.5. There was a time, the first time I had this, I think I was in the 4.75 range.
Right.
With this. I'm not tasting that. Right
No,
now.
me neither. And I'll agree with you there. The first time I tasted this beer, I was in Philadelphia. I picked up a few real fresh bottles from a bottle shop there. And I was just like, wow, this is a great IPA. But I had really read a lot of hype about it, and I was very excited to try it. And, you know, seeing it, tasting it blind, definitely gives you a new appreciation because, honestly, taking a sip now, even knowing what it is, it's no higher than a 4 for me. Like I said, 3.75, I was bordering 4. Yeah, I really even stand by that rating after that.
That's kind of disappointing to me too, because I've also had Sculpin before, and I do think it was better. I mean, it was bolder, and it was, you know, there was a better mix of flavors. This is pretty much a straight floral IPA with a little bit of sweetness.
I'm getting a touch of citrus, a touch of pine.
Yeah.
But definitely, I remember being more overwhelmed by the aroma and the taste the last time I had this beer.
The aroma was quite subdued on this, I think, whenever I first smelled it. It was...
I agree with you. Until next time, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Dude, I'm floored by what beer this is.